Hi, my name's Angel Tuccy, and I'm a media exposure specialist. And today I'm going to teach you how to get the media to fall in love with you, how to get booked on radio, television, magazines, podcasts, and stages, leveraging what I call the power of OPP, other people's platforms, in order to grow your business. I'm going to teach you how to attract more leads, attract more perfect clients, how to build relationships with media contacts, all of that in order to build your business even faster, right? We love that, right? We want to build our business. We want to build it faster. We want to build a scalable business. We want the world to hear our story. We want to leverage the power of publicity. But most importantly, like all of this at the end of the day is to grow our business, grow our brand, and grow our product. So for 10 years, I was a talk show host out of Denver, Colorado. I live in Denver. I broadcasted from Denver. I was the host of a 2-hour radio talk show for about 10 years, right? That was my job. I was on the receiving end. I built relationships with entrepreneurs, business professionals, influencers. I interviewed over 5,000 guests and hosted over 2,000 broadcasts during my career. We were an award-winning program, best morning talk show, best radio show team, named most positive business talk show in America, and it was a super fun gig, right? And in addition to that, I also was the host of a 2-hour Christian lifestyle show. So I'd host my 2-hour business talk show, and during a 6-minute commercial break, we would change studios, run down the hall, and set up for our second 2-hour talk show. So I was hosting 4 hours of talk radio right before I retired. Hosting 4 hours of talk radio, there's not very many people that host 4 hours of talk radio Monday through Friday, and less than a dozen women across the country that do that. So I was in the top 1% of my industry. At the same time, I am also an 11-time published author. We also hosted a whole season of TV, featured in magazines, ran our own magazine. So I've been on the insider track of media and publicity, right? As the talk show host, in broadcasting, insider of radio, insider of magazine. I've been on the inside, right, track. So I know what the inside offices look like. I know what the secrets and the tips and the tricks and how to get booked on the programs, how that process happens. Also, during my full career, I've also walked my walk, right? I set the example. I learn it, I do it, I teach it. So while I was growing my show, I used other radio shows, magazines, podcasts, all of that to grow my business, grow my brand, right? Become a published author, all of that. And then, of course, we've helped thousands of entrepreneurs get more media exposure for their product, their brand, their book, their podcast, right? If you're creating something, putting together your website, building your podcast, building your digital course, writing your book, you've got something to sell, you want to get it to the market, you need exposure. You need exposure, and your revenue is directly tied to the amount of exposure you're getting. So if you want to make more money, you want more revenue, you have to increase your exposure. And we can monetize your exposure. We can actually track your exposure by looking at your business in 90-day marketing cycles. In a 90-day, 90 days, 12-month or 3-month campaign is the typical cycle for a small business to run through. So if you look at the revenue and you look at the accounts and the customers that you're bringing in now, you can pretty much look back and track that to 90 days ago. What type of exposure were you getting? Did you have a press release? Did you speak? Were you out networking? Did you do a publishing event? Like, what type of exposure? And you can pretty much start to track that in 90-day cycles, which is what we teach, is these 90-day marketing campaigns, right? And so as we are, as I'm building up my business, helping bring advertisers into the radio, I was teaching them how to leverage the power of the steps that I'm going to teach you today to help them improve their ROI, their return on investment on their advertising dollars. What ended up happening is the average advertising buy in radio is about 13 weeks. People will do a 90-day campaign. Like, we'll try it for a while. Maybe you've done that. Like, I'm trying this, seeing what sticks, right? Tried that, didn't work. Now I'm doing this. Tried that, didn't work. Now I'm doing this. Tried that, didn't work. Now I'm doing this, right? And so that's what you see a lot in advertising as well. My average advertising buy, how long we kept our advertisers, was 3 years. 3 years. So instead of a quarter of a year, 12 times longer was my average, based on the tips that I'm going to teach you today. And the reason why it was so effective, and the reason why it is continuing to be so effective, why I created the most comprehensive media mastery course that there is we learned how to take the myths of what most small business owners are buying into and turn those upside down. So myth number one is that we are building our business one-to-one, right? We're out there building relationships, we're networking, right? We're networking with the same people that we networked with last week, right? We're building these relationships, and relationships are built one-to-one, no doubt about it, right? Eyeball to eyeball, tummy to tummy. But business is built one-to-many, one-to-media. If you're going to create a scalable business and attracting more leads back into your funnel, you need to be in front of fresh new audiences every single week. But what we're doing is talking to the same people we talked to last week. We're going to the leads group with the same people we leads grouped with last week. Coffee meetings, networking events, like, it's all the same. We're sending emails to the same group of people that are already on our list. So we've already created the exposure, right? They're already familiar with us. We have that exposure. What we are doing now is creating engagement. But really, if we want to increase our revenue, we have to increase the exposure, but we end up just increasing the engagement, right? We're sending more emails. We're posting out on social media, not to new people, the people that are already following us. So we're getting cleverer, right? More clever in doing videos. We're posting more often. We're sending more emails. We're getting smarter about our headlines, right? But that's engagement, right? The engagement piece, right, where they funnel it all around before they become, if you think about your funnel, right? We want exposure in the top, they come in the funnel and create engagement, and they pop out and they enroll, and that's where the revenue comes from. For small businesses, we've been taught to stay in that engagement space, right? That we're engaging with the same people we talked to last week, building our business one-on-one, building relationships instead of building businesses, treating our business like a hobby instead of a business, right? Entrepreneurs are the busiest broke people on the planet because of this flaw in the system, right? That we get in just and talk to the same people over and over again, right? We're like on this little rabbit wheel or hamster wheel over and over again, and we can't seem to figure out, why aren't we making more money? And the reason is the exposure, right? We need to get them in the funnel. How do we get them in the funnel? We leverage OPP, other people's platforms. Radio shows, television, magazines, podcasts, stages, in front of fresh new audiences. So if you're going and being on a TV show, a radio show, a podcast, it's their audience that you're talking to. We didn't really have to do much just to show up and share our juicy goodness, right? Our intellectual property, our knowledge, the thing that we do in our sleep, right? That is keeping our clients up at night, the thing that we can do with our eyes closed and hands tied behind our back. This is the value that you bring to the table, right? They are looking for fresh new guests. They're looking for human interest stories. They're looking for content. You provide the content. They have the audience. It's a match made in heaven. Right? So number one, we have to stop building our business one-on-one and start to build it one-to-many, where we're speaking to audiences and we're speaking to fresh new audiences, not just engagement, but to create exposure in front of a fresh new audience. And we need to monetize that exposure so that we're not just doing exposure for the sake of exposure. And the way we monetize it is with our call to action. Right? Exposure without a call to action is a waste of exposure. So we're going to teach you all of those steps today. Are you ready? I hope you're taking notes, because note takers are money makers, right? We're going to take notes. I'm going to go through this pretty quickly. There are some bonuses at the end, some freebies. So all the pieces that you're going to need, the list of it, the list of media contacts, your headlines, your 10-day transformation, like all of that, you're going to get as bonuses at the end. So you can start to take action today and turn your media exposure around. It doesn't take years, right? We just really need a condensed, consistent 90-day foundation in order to develop your media plan. So the very first thing that we need to focus on, number one, hands down, is establishing you as the expert, the content expert in your space. What are you a specialist of? Right? I'm the media exposure specialist. What do you specialize in? Not what do you sell, but what do people think of when they refer you? Right? Are you the follow-up king? Are you the graphic designer, specialist, the king of this, the queen of that, that your clients, the people that are following you, they're like, this is what they are the best at. This is what they specialize in. That's where you want to stay, is in your specific lane, right? We want to stay in your lane and just dig deep, right? We don't want to be masters of none. What's it? Oh, shoot, like jack of all trades, masters of none, right? We don't want to be that. We want to be the master. We want to be the influencer. We want to be the authority, right? When you think about that, the hierarchy of revenue, right? And success, right? Generalist, specialist, influencers, and authorities, right? Or experts and authorities, right? Generalist, specialist, experts, authority. The hierarchy of revenue, right? Generalists, they're down here, they're swimming in the pond, they're the little fish in the big pond with everybody else, and they're just trying to make a buck, right? Trying to get a deal. Right? You know them, you've networked with them, right? They've sent you the follow-ups, they're chasing you down, right? The fortunes in the follow-up, right? Another lie that we've been taught as small business owners. But following up can be an absolute waste of time because we're talking to tire kickers and fence sitters and people that just want to pick our brain. I want you to automate your follow-up so that you're only talking to buyers, right? So we're speaking one-to-many, we're automating our follow-up, and we're talking to buyers, right? One-to-many, new audiences, automate the follow-up in the engagement, right? Automation, and we're only talking to buyers, right? That's where our money's coming from. And so as we position you and, as this content expert, you want to be known as this one expert, known for this. This is how we're going to get you booked on stages. This is where that word of mouth marketing and testimonials and being known in this one space. It's also how we're going to get you booked on TV, radio, magazines, podcasts, and stages. So we're going to take that space and we're going to dig really deep. But you've got to start with, what are you an expert of? What do people want to pick your brain about? What are they asking you? What is that thing they come to you the most or refer of you the most? That's the space I want you to stay in. Doesn't necessarily mean that's exactly what you sell, right? We sell them what they want and we give them what they need, right? What gets them in the castle? What's that juicy goodness, the low-hanging fruit that when people hear that, they're like, that's for me, or that's for somebody I know. We want to create this visceral reaction. That's for me, that's for somebody I know, that gets them in the castle. I don't want to diet, but I want to have a bikini body ready, right? I don't want to budget, but I want to be able to retire and, and create this fabulous lifestyle, right? We don't want the hard thing and this is the thing you sell. And this is what we typically lead with, right? And then people are like, yeah, I don't want that. I'm not ready for that. Right? If we're not good at selling, we need to get better at selling the results, right? So what is the result? What is it that they're coming to you for, that you are the king or the queen of, right? That you are the juicy goodness answer to what they need. So number one, focus on who you are. Number two, right? Establish and create that expertise title that matches along with that. So not only are you the expert at it, but this is your expert title and how we refer to you and how everybody refers to you. So when we pitch you to the media, right, or to be a guest on somebody's platform, right, we have the expert in, not just the CEO, and she's not just a graphic designer, right? She writes press releases, or she is a pet sitter, right? You are the specialist in this space. You are truly the expert. So we need you to pick your lane, pick your topic, and then come up with your specialty title so that we can pitch you out as the expert in that space. If you have any questions about this or help with this, like, we do this all the time, right? In our media boot camp, like, this is the very first day one, where we're really narrowing you down and doing the market research. We're testing out what the media is looking for, so we find that jackpot of what's going to get you in front of the right stages, but most importantly, what's going to attract the most perfect and ideal client back into your sales funnel. We want to monetize this all the way through. Step number two, right? So number one, position, right? What is your topic? Here's my specialty title, right? That is the perfect match for media outlets and bringing in perfect clients. So step number two is, well, it's the number one way. It's the number one way to create a media exposure. So when you're leveraging media, you're speaking on somebody else's stage, you're being interviewed on TV or radio, you can't use that. It's not an infomercial, right? You're not selling. You're not selling your product. You're not selling your service. You're not using it to fill an event. If those are the cases, you have to pay for advertising. If you're selling, we're selling, right? We're going to sell you an ad package if you want to sell something. You want to fill your event. Even if the event's free, right? You want to fill your event, you want to sell your product, sell your service, we're going to sell you an advertising package. What I want to do is keep you out of the advertising department and get you in as an invited guest. If we can keep you out of the advertising department, then in most cases, you don't have to pay for this exposure. Are there opportunities to pay for exposure? You betcha, right? Absolutely. Right? And you can have as much exposure as your budget will allow. Right? You can be on billboards, on the side of buses. Right? You can have as much exposure as your budget will allow. And there may be opportunities where it's a paid to play spot. And depending on the audience, it might be worth it. But in most cases, what I am teaching you is where you are invited in as that expert. Because remember, this is what you focus on, and this is your expert title on it. And we're getting you invited in as that expert, being featured as that expert. So you can't sell, right? Can't sell your product, can't sell your service. There's one thing that you can sell as an invited guest. In fact, knowing that you sell this item, you will get an invitation. Like they're like, I want to interview you. I want to feature you, knowing that you have this one item. I wonder if I have one. I do, right? What do you think the item is? Any guesses? Well, if you guessed intellectual property, you're pretty darn close. If you guessed, your brand, maybe. But the number one way to get invited on as an expert guest is to be a published author. This is book number 11, right? My 11th published book. And I'm not in the publishing business. I am in the media exposure business, right? I want you to get exposure. The number one way to get invited and to open up those doors is to have you as a published author. I'm the expert in this. In fact, I wrote the book on it, right? I'm the expert and I wrote the book on it. And you put those two together and bam, good stuff, right? So what kind of book and how do you get a book out? How do you get a book out in the next 90 days? I'm going to tell you. Part of our program, right, is that we teach entrepreneurs how to leverage a book out and to get a book published in the next 90 days. So on average, my clients take about 60 days to go through the process, right? So about 60 days from start to finish. This is number 11, ABCs of exposure. But the quickest one, and this was our test, right? Then this is the system I'm going to teach you through. Jumpstart for Business was my 9th published book. This one was the quickest one to market based on, right? We've got a system, right? Proven systems, right? We just take you through, not rocket science, but working with a coach who has walked through the process that will speed it up, answer the questions, and bring your book to market. I'm a done is better than perfect girl. Mary Poppins is the only one who is practically perfect in every way. You are not perfect, nor does your audience expect you to be. So we have the system, we have it in place. This one, start to finish, right? From step one to published in 3 days. In 3 days. So we're going to work with you for 90 days, right? We have a 90-day system. On average, it takes about 60, but you probably already have your book already published and here or written, and here's how I know. Right? Most of the time when we think about becoming a published author or writing a book, it qualifies typically as your heart book, right? Your book of passion, right? Love songs, poetry, my breakthrough, my story, my family history. And in most cases, our heart book doesn't translate over into revenue, right? We're not making any money. We might be selling books. My very first book I wrote in 2009 called List That Saved My Life. List That Saved My Life. Number one, my very first book. It was all about work-life balance, time management, how I was a mommy and a professional. I kept the book. I got the book on the bestseller list. I spoke every week, whether that was a TV show, a radio show, an event, right? OPP. And I kept the book on the bestseller list for 32 weeks in a row, right? Pretty awesome, right? We're selling books, we're getting media exposure, we're speaking. This is fabulous. But the reason it qualifies as a heart book is I didn't have a product or a service to back it up, to take them into my sales funnel. So book was the end of the sale. So if you're selling $20 books and you want to make 6 figures, it's a lot of books you've got to be selling, right? What I want you to do is leverage the book, what I call your food book, the book that puts food on the table. I want you to leverage your food book to attract perfect clients into your sales funnel. So it puts you on the right stages, attracts your perfect clients, and you can monetize it on the back end. It's not about selling books. It's about bringing new clients into your sales funnel. Think about, what is the average ticket price of a client who works with you? What do they spend with you? Probably more than $15 to $20, right? So the revenue that you're going to create from the book, opening up the doors to get you on stages, to bringing clients into your sales funnel, you're going to make far more on the back end than you are from selling the book. But the book is the tool that markets us, that positions us as that content expert, right? Elevates our credibility in the marketplace, and builds know, like, and trust. Right? And when you've got that and you start to get featured on ABC, NBC, right? Think about the magazines, think about the TV shows you want to be featured on. You notice that when people are guests on on somebody else's program, they share those logos, right? They put those logos everywhere, on their business cards, on their social media, on their website. Why do they put those logos? Because those brands are familiar, right? It elevates their credibility. You're attracting clients instead of chasing, right? Like, come and do business with me now. How about now? But now they're like, hey, I read your book. I saw your book. Can you come and speak here? Right? I read your book. I fell in love with you. This is a 100-page love letter, a 100-page love letter to your clients. The reason why I can help you get the book out in 90 days is because most of it's already written. You've got sitting in your computer or in your head intellectual property that you are not monetizing. It looks like frequently asked questions, website content, PowerPoint presentations, social media posts, blogs, articles, right? You know your stuff, right? You know your stuff, and you probably share your juicy goodness every single day, and you share it for free. We want to put all of that in the book. When we bring our clients together and we start our CPP process, copy, paste, and publish, we discovered that most of our clients have about 60 pages of content already untapped. We can leverage that and stretch that out into your 100-page love letter. So I want you to write down the date, 90 days from today. 90 days from today, that's your book launch day, right? 90 days from today, you could be a published author, a best-selling published author, press, media, exposure, invitations, radio features, media features, right? Attracting more perfect clients into your system, right? Automation, monetizing, all of that, right? You start to feel it, like connecting with journalists and hashtag got PR out into the media, right? Out into the world, your story is being shared, and people want to be a part of something bigger than themselves. When they see you, right? They're like, wow, well, if they're going to feature them, maybe I should listen. Maybe I should take their phone call. Maybe I should open up those emails. Maybe I should follow them on social media. Maybe I should take that next step and get into their sales funnel and get a little more information about what they're doing. Right? So they start to sell themselves on you simply by you getting the publicity of being the published author and being invited as a guest on OPP, other people's programs. Are you starting to get all jazzed up and juicy about this? Because I am. The more I'm talking about it, I can just feel my energy is elevating. Like we're just getting good. Like we're just getting on a roll. So I just want to just pause and take a moment and say thank you for being here and so getting this far, getting through this webinar, right? This webinar this far, because you're a rock star, right? You are a rock star. You've got a story to share. The world needs your story. Right? As entrepreneurs, we are the backbone of the American economy, right? You showing up today 90% of success is showing up. But right, in order to get results, we got to go through some stuff, right? We got to go through some stuff. We can't use the same methodology and thinking and behaviors and activities that got us here to get us over the fence, right? We got to climb this mountain, and we're going to climb it. We're going to climb it together. We are climbing it together. So I'm just going to give a high five, little mini wave in celebration of you today, just for being here and taking action. Because when you have faith and you take action, the world shows up to support you, to guide you, and to create a miracle. So let's create that miracle next. Third piece. And this is where it gets good, right? This is where it gets good. So your position, like, I'm the expert. This is my specialty title. In fact, I'm writing the book on it. It's coming out Q2, right? The next quarter, whatever the next quarter is. Even if the book isn't published yet, we can still promote you and market you as the author of that upcoming book. It gets really good. And I don't care if it's book number 1, 2, 3, or 11. When they show up in the mail, like, you are just lit up. The fact that you put yourself out there in this wonderful space, right? And it's a document that is probably one of the most proudest things that you could ever create. The third piece of it all is the pitch, the publicity, the press, right? Press, publicity, pitch, right? All the P's, right? So I've got all the P's going on here, right? But first of all, let me just let you know that in order to create publicity for your brand, it doesn't take a lot of extra time. Right now, we're hustling, right? We're driving in across town, we're sitting in traffic, we're finding parking spots, all of it to go to an event, right? And pass those business cards 1-to-1, right? Networking with the same people that were there probably at the last event. Right? And so what do? We look for fresh new events to go and network, but we're still building our business one-on-one. You can't send enough emails. You can't send enough LinkedIn personalized messages. You can't send enough text messages. You will burn out. We need to scale this up. But the best thing is most of it's done from the comfort of your own home. You don't even have to get out of bed in the morning. This is my sleep mask, right? This is my sleep mask. You wake up in the morning, pour yourself a tea, a cup of coffee, get on the phone, be interviewed, right? Give a quote, do a podcast, share your goodness, type up a quote for a magazine, submit an article, write a press release. You don't have to go anywhere, right? You don't have to go anywhere. If you're worried about how much time is this going to take, I have to go out and meet people. I'm not real comfortable speaking. Like, most of this is done on the phone with a Zoom, with a Skype, writing computers. Doesn't matter what your comfort zone is. When I first started, public speaking was not my skill set. In fact, I was so embarrassed to be speaking, right? Not embarrassed, just nervous, scared, freaked out, right? I was a wreck in front of people, right? And so radio was super comfortable for me because I'm sitting in a quiet studio, windowless cubicle, me and a microphone, right? Far more comfort zone for me. Talking on the phone, even more comfortable. So depending on your comfort level, all of this can be managed and easily done from wherever you are, all without ever having to get out of bed or leave your house, right? And even if you're not really comfortable with public speaking, you've been talking on the phone, right? You know how to talk on the phone, and it's your brilliance. It's your brilliance. It's your story. You have a PhD in your story, and the world needs to hear it. The world needs to hear it. So how do we put out this pitch? How do we connect with the media? How do we approach them? The number one easiest thing that you can do today, instantly, is put out a press release. A press release is a document that tells the media what's going on. Right? We're not mind readers. We've only got limited amount of time to be scouring, looking for stories. So we get our stories from press releases, from our local media outlets, from community newspapers, social media, hashtags. Right? We get our stories. So by putting together a press release, you can start to speak the language of media, putting these little pieces of popcorn out about your story and who you are and what you're doing. A piece of current event, right? It's got to be a current event. You can put out press releases at the minimum once a quarter, but once a month is pretty ideal, but even as often as once a week. I have a list of 52 press release ideas that you can use to implement to create publicity for you and your brand, for your website, for your book, for your product, right? All of it. 52, that's one a week, right? I want you to just find one a month. I want you to look for current events, right? Have you hired somebody? Have you published a book? Have you attended a virtual summit? Right? What's new in your world? Look back 2 weeks and look ahead, right? It's got to be current events. Extra, read all about it. We're announcing this thing, right? We're hiring, we're firing, we're moving locations, we're expanding, we're going green, right? Zero sustainability, right? What are you doing that you do every day? If you were to look, right, this is the thing as entrepreneurs, we are check, yep, did that, but we're not telling anybody. And the least of it, we're not telling journalists, right? People who could share that story and get it out to even more of our target audience. And so leveraging the power of a press release, a website I recommend is pr.com. PR for press release, pr.com. You can sign up for free and create a free account. Tell them Angel Tuccy sent you, right? And sign up and get a free account and start putting out extra media announcements on a regular basis. Also putting together a media pitch, right? I am the expert. In fact, I'm writing the book on it. Here are my 3 talking points, right? Connect with the journalist and send out a media pitch. Build relationships with folks in the media. So think about, who do you want to be featured on? Who are your local TV stations, radio stations? Connect with them on social, follow them, comment, add value so that your brand is familiar. So when you send them your press release and your media pitch, they've heard of you. They've already heard of you. The value of leveraging media is exponential. I've got clients who all over the country, every single day, are putting out, they're building relationships, they're working on their book, they're putting their positioning, their expert title together, all of that building up. And every day we're using, you can find the hashtag #GotPR, right? So when somebody says, hey, I'd love to feature your story, I want to have it here, it gets shared here, hashtag #GotPR. Make sure you've got a Google alert set up for your name. So when the media features you, you get an announcement, a notification, an email notification that your business or your company, your name has been featured in the media. You can reshare those posts, right? And when your press release gets picked up by ABC, NBC, CBS affiliate, share that with those mastheads and put those logos, leverage those logos, because they create trust, they create familiarity, and they elevate your credibility. I hope this was super helpful for you. We've got some free gifts for you, right? We've got the 52 press release ideas. We have your 10-day media transformation. You've got the attention, a full year of attention grabbing headlines. All of that is waiting for you. I'm Angel Tuccy, media exposure specialist. The world needs your story. I hope you go and share it. Thank you so much for spending your time here today. Bye-bye.